Hello, it is election night 2020, and America is deciding for president between Burlington, Northern Santa Fe, and Genesee and Wyoming. The polls are just about to close, and just for your knowledge, you need 270 electoral votes to win the Electoral College. It is now 7 p.m. on the East Coast. Polls have closed in 6 states for a total of 60 electoral votes. We have some calls right off the bat. First of all, we can project that Genesee and Wyoming will win the state of Indiana with its 11 electoral votes, the state of South Carolina with its 9 electoral votes, and the state of Vermont with its 3 electoral votes. 3 states are too close to call. The state of Georgia with its 16 electoral votes is too early to call, along with Kentucky with its 8 electoral votes, and Virginia with its 13 electoral votes. It is now 7:30 p.m. on the East Coast, and 3 states have just closed their polls, for a total of 38 electoral votes. First of all, Genesee and Wyoming has won the state of Ohio with its 18 electoral votes, a big win here and very important. Also, Burlington, Northern Santa Fe has just won its first state in the state of West Virginia. And finally, North Carolina with its 15 electoral votes is too early to call. And now let us look at the electoral map. Genesee and Wyoming is off to a big start with 41 electoral votes, and Burlington, Northern Santa Fe has just got 5 electoral votes. But 52 electoral votes are still up for grabs. It is now 8 p.m. on the East Coast, and polls have closed in 16 states plus the District of Columbia for a grand whopping total of 172 electoral votes. The largest amount of electoral votes for any closing time. And right off the bat, we got some calls. First off, Genesee and Wyoming wins the state of Alabama with its 9 electoral votes. They also win the state of Connecticut with its 7 electoral votes. He also wins the state of Maine with its 4 electoral votes. Now to note here, Maine is a little bit different than the rest of the country. It allots 1 electoral vote for the winner of each congressional district, and it awards 2 electoral votes to the winner of the statewide popular vote. The only other state that does this is the state of Nebraska. But right off the bat, Genesee and Wyoming has won big in Maine, as well as the state popular vote. Also, Genesee and Wyoming wins the state of Massachusetts with its 11 electoral votes. Genesee and Wyoming has won the state of New Hampshire with its 4 electoral votes. Also, to add to this list, we have a major call. The state of Georgia has gone to Genesee and Wyoming with its 16 electoral votes, a major win early on. But Genesee and Wyoming is not the only party to win states. Burlington, Northern Santa Fe has won the District of Columbia with its 3 electoral votes. It has also won the state of Florida with its 29 electoral votes. Only Texas and California has more votes than Florida. Burlington, Northern Santa Fe has also won the state of Illinois with its 20 electoral votes, the state of Oklahoma with its 7 electoral votes, and also we can now call the state of Virginia, which Burlington, Northern Santa Fe will win with its 13 electoral votes. Now in the states where it's too early to call yet, in the state of Delaware with its 3 electoral votes, it is too early to call. Maryland with its 10 electoral votes is too early to call. Mississippi with its 6 electoral votes is too early to call. Missouri with its 10 electoral votes. New Jersey with its 14 electoral votes. Pennsylvania with its 20 electoral votes. And Tennessee with its 11 electoral votes are all too early to call. And now let us look at the electoral map. Genesee and Wyoming still holds a lead with 96 electoral votes, but Burlington, Northern Santa Fe is really beginning to pick up, being only 19 electoral votes behind at 77 electoral votes. At the moment, 103 electoral votes is either too close or too early to call. It is now 8:30 on the East Coast, and polls have closed in the state of Arkansas with its 6 electoral votes, which are too early to call. And now looking at the map, there are now 103 electoral votes that is either too close or too early to call. It is now 9 o'clock on the East Coast, and polls have closed in 14 states for a total of 156 electoral votes, the second largest number of electoral votes when the polls close. First of all, Genesee and Wyoming has won the state of Michigan with its 16 electoral votes. It has also won its home state of New York with its 29 electoral votes, which, as you may remember, is the same as Florida. It has also won the state of South Dakota with its 3 electoral votes, and we can also call some other states as well. We can now call that Genesee and Wyoming will win Tennessee with its 11 electoral votes, Pennsylvania with its 20 electoral votes, and New Jersey with its 14 electoral votes. Some major wins here. Now it's time to go to Burlington Northern Santa Fe. Burlington Northern Santa Fe has won the state of Colorado with its 9 electoral votes. It has also won the state of Kansas with its 6 electoral votes. It has also won the 2nd and 3rd congressional districts in Nebraska, and also the statewide popular vote, giving it a total of 4 electoral votes. The 1st congressional district is too early to call at this moment. It has also won the state of New Mexico with its 5 electoral votes, and the state of North Dakota with its 3 electoral votes, splitting from her southern neighbor. Burlington Northern Santa Fe has also won the 2nd biggest prize of the night, Texas, with its 38 electoral votes. And finally, Burlington Northern Santa Fe has won the state of Wyoming with its 3 electoral votes. And also, we can now call the state of Missouri with its 10 electoral votes, and it will go to Burlington Northern Santa Fe. And now for the states that are too early to call. First of all, we have Arizona with its 11 electoral votes. Secondly, we have Louisiana with its 8 electoral votes. Next, we have Minnesota with its 10 electoral votes. And as mentioned before, Nebraska's 1st congressional district is too early to call. Finally, we have the state of Wisconsin, which is too early to call. And now let us look at the electoral map. Genesee and Wyoming still holds the lead with 189 electoral votes compared to Burlington Northern Santa Fe, which has 155. But now there's only 88 electoral votes up for grabs at the moment, and 106 electoral votes from states that have not yet closed. It is now 10 p.m. on the East Coast, and polls have closed in 4 more states, for a total of 21 electoral votes. We can now call that Burlington Northern Santa Fe has won the state of Iowa with its 6 electoral votes. Also has won the state of Montana with its 3 electoral votes. And now we can also call that Arizona with its 11 electoral votes will go to Burlington Northern Santa Fe. And now we have some updates for Genesee and Wyoming has just won the state of Arkansas with its 6 electoral votes. Also, we can call the state of Louisiana with its 8 electoral votes will also go to Genesee and Wyoming. Genesee and Wyoming will also win the state of Wisconsin with its 10 electoral votes. Now let us look at the states that are too early to call. The state of Nevada with its 6 electoral votes is too early to call, along with the state of Utah with its 6 electoral votes is also too early to call. Now let us look at the electoral map. Genesee and Wyoming still holds a lead with 213 electoral votes compared to Burlington Northern Santa Fe's 175. There are 65 electoral votes that are either too close or too early to call, and 85 electoral votes from states that have not yet closed their polls. It is now 11 p.m. on the East Coast, and 5 more states have closed their polls, for a total of 82 electoral votes. First, we could call that the state of Hawaii with its 4 electoral votes will go to Genesee and Wyoming, along with the state of Oregon with its 7 electoral votes. Also, we have a couple major calls to go along with this. Genesee and Wyoming will win the state of Kentucky with its 8 electoral votes. A bitterly contested election, but Genesee and Wyoming has pulled it off. Also, Genesee and Wyoming has won the state of Mississippi with its 6 electoral votes. Also, Burlington Northern Santa Fe has won the state of Washington with its 12 electoral votes. And now for the states that are too early to call. California, with its whopping 55 electoral votes, is too early to call. The state of Idaho, with its 4 electoral votes, is too early to call. And now, the only polls that have not yet closed is the state of Alaska with its 3 electoral votes, and their polls will not be closing for 2 hours yet. And now let us look at the map. Genesee and Wyoming still holds the lead with 238 electoral votes, merely 32 electoral votes away from victory. Meanwhile, Burlington Northern Santa Fe has got 187 electoral votes. 110 electoral votes are up for grabs, and of course Alaska has not closed its polls, which accounts for the 3 last electoral votes. We have some breaking news. Genesee and Wyoming has won the state of Idaho with its 4 electoral votes, bringing its total to 242 electoral votes. Now, only 28 electoral votes from victory. We have a major call. Burlington Northern Santa Fe has won the state of California with its whopping 55 electoral votes. This was a bitterly contested election, but Burlington Northern Santa Fe has won the state of California. And now when we look at the electoral votes, it is tied. Burlington Northern Santa Fe has finally caught up to Genesee and Wyoming. However, it has not been able to surpass Genesee and Wyoming. We have a major call. We can project that Genesee and Wyoming will win the state of Utah with its 6 electoral votes, thus bringing Genesee and Wyoming back to the lead with 248 electoral votes. It is now 1 a.m. on the East Coast, and the last polls have closed, and Genesee and Wyoming, as expected, will win the state of Alaska with its 3 electoral votes. Genesee and Wyoming is now a mere 19 electoral votes from the presidency. We have a major call in the East Coast. The state of Maryland, with its 10 electoral votes, will go to Genesee and Wyoming. This has been a very close election, but Genesee and Wyoming has pulled it off. We have another major call. The state of Nevada, with its 6 electoral votes, will go to Genesee and Wyoming. Genesee and Wyoming is now a mere 3 electoral votes from victory. If Genesee and Wyoming wins the state of Delaware with its 3 electoral votes, he will be elected President of the United States. As it is, Burlington Northern Santa Fe has to win the state of Delaware, the state of North Carolina, and the state of Minnesota to win. But they could lose the 1st Congressional District in Nebraska. We have a major call. We can now project that Genesee and Wyoming will become the 46th President of the United States. For we can now project that Genesee and Wyoming will win the state of Minnesota with its 10 electoral votes. And now as we look at the map, Genesee and Wyoming has won 277 electoral votes, with the state of North Carolina with its 15 electoral votes, the state of Delaware with its 3 electoral votes, and the 1st Congressional District in Nebraska are all too close to call. It is now the morning after the election, and we can now call the last 2 states and Congressional District. First of all, Genesee and Wyoming has won the 1st Congressional District in Nebraska with its 1 electoral vote. Also, Burlington Northern Santa Fe has won the state of North Carolina with its 15 electoral votes in a very close election. And finally, Burlington Northern Santa Fe has won the state of Delaware in an extremely close election. Burlington Northern Santa Fe winning 254,000 votes compared to Genesee Wyoming, who won 250,000 votes. So now Genesee Wyoming has won the presidency with 278 electoral votes and winning 77,750,000 in the popular vote. Burlington Northern Santa Fe has won 260 electoral votes and has won 73,500,000 electoral votes. If you have liked this video, please feel free to leave a like, and if you like this channel, please feel free to subscribe. This was just a fun little election to see who would win between Genesee Wyoming and Burlington Northern Santa Fe. So until next time, keep your trains on the tracks.